Have you ever wondered how a country that has everything, I mean, truly unimaginable wealth, can just lose it all? Well, today we're diving into one of the most unbelievable economic stories of the last 100 years, the Argentine eclipse. Just let that sink in for a moment. 100 years ago, Argentina wasn't just doing okay, it was an absolute global powerhouse. We're talking richer per person than Spain, its old colonial ruler, richer than France, richer than Germany. It was the place to be, a magnet for people and money from all over the world. And then you get this, 5,000%. No, that is not a typo. That's the kind of insane hyperinflation that can wipe out a family's entire life savings in the blink of an eye. It's a number so big it almost doesn't feel real. But it is, and it's the result of a whole century of bad decisions. So that's the big question, right? That's the mystery we're going to piece together in this explainer. How does a country go from the top of the world to a textbook example of economic collapse? Believe me, it's a story with some serious lessons for all of us. Okay, so to really get what went wrong, we have to travel back in time. We need to see what went so incredibly right first. Let's rewind the clock to Argentina's golden age and see just how brightly that star once shone. People called Buenos Aires the Paris of South America. And they weren't kidding. The country was just swimming in cash, thanks to massive exports of beef, wheat, and wool to the rest of the world. All that money built these stunning European-style buildings, massive opera houses. It created a culture that was every bit as sophisticated as the great capitals of Europe. It honestly felt like the good times would never end. But they did end. And it wasn't because of a war or a natural disaster. It all came down to one single catastrophic idea. An idea that planted itself in the economy and just slowly poisoned everything. This wasn't a sudden crash. It was a slow-motion mistake that lasted 100 years. And this is it. This is the idea. It's called import substitution. Now, coming out of things like the Great Depression, the thinking was, hey, let's become totally self-sufficient. The sales pitch was super simple and really popular. Why buy stuff from other countries when we can just make it all ourselves? The goal was to protect and build up Argentina's own industries and shield the country from the ups and downs of the global market. On paper, the logic looked pretty straightforward. Step 1, you block all the cheaper stuff from other countries using huge taxes. Step 2, this forces everyone in your country to buy the local versions, even if they're not as good or cost more. Step 3, in theory, your local companies get super rich. And step 4, they hire more people, and boom, the whole country prospers. That was the plan anyway. But in the real world, it was a total disaster. When you take away all foreign competition, your local companies have zero reason to get better. Why would you innovate? Why would you lower your prices when the government has basically guaranteed you're the only option? What you got was terrible products, crazy high prices for regular people, and an entire economy that just got stuck. It became lazy and completely cut off from the rest of the world. And this one bad policy kicked off a vicious cycle, a toxic loop that would just keep repeating for decades. And it leads us directly back to that mind-blowing 5,000% inflation number. So let's break down how this whole thing unraveled. It all starts with this. To keep those inefficient, government-protected companies afloat and to pay for popular social programs, government after government spent way, way more money than they were actually collecting in taxes. I mean, you can't do that forever, right? Eventually, the well runs dry. The country's bank account hits zero, the bills are piling up, and there is literally no money left to pay for anything. So what do you do when you're out of cash? Well, instead of making the hard choices like cutting spending, they reached for what seemed like a magical fix. Just print more money. The central bank would just fire up the printing presses, creating billions of new pesos out of thin air to pay the government's bills. And here we are at the heart of the problem. When you just dump a ton of new money into the system, every single peso that already exists becomes worth less and less. The money you saved in the bank, the cash in your wallet, your retirement fund, poof, its value just evaporates. That's inflation. And of course, this chaos scares away anyone who might want to invest in the country, which just makes the whole problem even worse. And listen, this isn't just some economic theory. Take a look at this chart. This shows you exactly what happened to the money supply in Argentina. You can just see it exploding over the years. That line going almost straight up, that's the printing press working overtime. And it lines up perfectly with the complete destruction of the peso's value. So you might be thinking, okay, interesting story, but why should I care about a country thousands of miles away? Well, because this isn't just Argentina's story. It's a massive, real-world warning about economic ideas that can pop up anywhere, at any time. So what can we take away from all this? Well, first, trying to wall off your economy doesn't make you strong. It makes you stagnant. Second, the money printer isn't a magic solution. It's more like a weapon of mass financial destruction. And finally, having stable, predictable rules for your economy is so much more important than any short-term political quick fix. Argentina's 100-year fall from being one of the richest nations on earth to a state of constant crisis is more than just a sad story. It's a huge, flashing warning sign for the rest of the world. It shows us exactly what happens when leaders consistently choose the easy political answer over what's actually good for the economy. And that leaves us with one last, pretty chilling question to think about. The habits of spending too much, of blaming other countries, of relying on the printing press to solve problems, those aren't unique to Argentina. So when you look around the world today, you have to ask yourself, is Argentina's past just a preview of another country's future?